Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Edge Show. My name is Marc Parham, and we have a great show for you today. But my mission really is when I'm doing these shows is to talk about everything that's going on in your life right now as far as entrepreneurship. I try to help you sharpen the edge in business and life. And today we're going to be talking about something every entrepreneur wrestles with: how to find fulfillment while still making a profit. My guest is Paul Wilson Jr., the creator of Purposenomics
Yes.
Framework and Masterclass. Paul, welcome to the show.
All right, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I tell you, Paul, as we get into this, the first thing I want to start out with is, in one sentence, what is Purposenomics? Can you do it in one sentence? What's it all about?
I can do it in one sentence.
Okay.
Purpose times profit equals prosperity. I'll give you a snapshot. Not even one. I'll give you one formula. Of course, there's a lot to that, right? But you already mentioned, the struggle that many people have between sacrificing purpose or sacrificing profit as an entrepreneur. And I believe you can do both, and have both. But at least, and when I say even prosperity, not just financial, also talking about, spiritual, mental, emotional, relational.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're going to get into that. So What sparked you to create this framework? Was there a moment when you realized purpose and profit could be partners, not opposites?
It was. And I have to tell some of my personal story to get there. So 10 years ago, I was in an extended stay hotel, pretty much homeless, right? By, I guess you could say, a technical definition, with my family of six, and my business was in shambles, right? And all types of issues. And I like to say I was broke and broken, right? Just things not going well at all. But how did I get there? I really have to back up a couple years before that, because I was in a corporate job, things were going well, but I wasn't fulfilled. So I left corporate to pursue business and entrepreneurship, and that was my purpose of doing that. But the thing is, after a while, when things weren't going well, I was still so tied into, I got to do my purpose, that I let profit go by the wayside. And literally, my house got foreclosed on. That's how we ended up in the hotel, and I was not just a hotel, but people's couches and basements and all types of things. This was for several years. It wasn't just a short period of time. And so it was that epiphany that I had to come to. And fortunately, I also had some great people around me, right? That, you can pursue your purpose, but if you do it to the detriment of yourself and your family, is it really purposeful if there's not a profit aspect associated with it? And so it was in those moments, those very tough and dark moments.
So you got to pay the bills.
Got to pay the bills, man.
Yeah.
and you can't pay it with purpose. You can't write a purpose.
You can't. Yeah, they don't like that. You can't put a little. You can't say, "Can I put a little purpose on it?" You can say, "Can I put a little something on it?" You can't say, "Can I put a little?"
Right.
Purpose?
They don't want to hear that. Right.
Yeah.
Like, your purpose is to pay me. That's what your purpose needs to be.
So tell me this: the book Purposenomics, and you built a masterclass course.
Yes.
How do they work together to help people? How do they
Absolutely
work in the course?
No, that's a great question. So, and really the other part of that, right? So for the last 7 to 8 years, as that epiphany and that light came on, and I had to shift my focus, and was able to get back into employment, but things accelerated from there, because once I was able to, again, connect my purpose to, let's be profitable, right? Let's use our talents and my skills to get back there. I was able to, kind of navigate through several organizations. I mean, very prominent organizations. One, of course, that we work together with, being the Urban League, but also at the Russell Center at Georgia State. And things actually accelerated pretty quickly over the last 7, 8 years. And during that time, I've helped several hundred businesses, right, with their business strategy and to grow and scale. I've worked in multiple countries. I've spoken on stages.
Tell me this. When you did this, who in mind did you have when you built this platform?
Absolutely.
Entrepreneurs, professionals, community leaders. Who's your target?
A little bit of both. And so it could be the frustrated professional, right? Who is, moving up the ladder, but they don't have that sense of fulfillment, and they're wondering, okay, now what's next? It could be that transitioning, right, career person that says, I'm in a corporate job, but now I want to start a business, but I'm afraid or concerned that, can I make money, right, the way I was making in my corporate job? Or you may be an aspiring entrepreneur that says, yes, I want to have a profitable business, but I also want to impact the world. How do I do that together? And so through my journey is how I design that framework, but actually it applies to all those individuals because what's common with everyone is the purpose piece, right? Where people want to have meaning, they want to have impact, but then also, okay, now how do I continue to generate an income to be able to do my purpose, but also be able to do it, and like I say, be able to pay the bills, but also have more than just enough to pay the bills.
Well, tell me, let's talk about the framework and the impact of it. Kind of walk us through the big picture. What are the main stages or pillars of purpose now?
Absolutely. So there's a couple things. One is holistic growth, right? And that's where we talk about spiritual, mental, emotional, and relational. And a lot of times people lean on one more than the other. But if you're out of balance in any of those areas, right, you're going to struggle and things are going to be a challenge. So that's one piece of it is holistic growth. Another one is legacy principles. So I'm not living just for today. I'm also living for my children and my grandchildren, right? And all of those who will come behind me from that standpoint, because it's not just about again what I can achieve today, but it's also about the impact that I and what I'm going to leave behind.
Can you share an exercise or something people are going to do in the master class that helps people gain immediate clarity? Is there some
Absolutely.
is there something you can share that they do in the class that helps them?
Definitely. So we do a purpose gap analysis. So we begin to analyze, right, and with some probing questions, right, that help to kind of clarify what your purpose is or could be, right, and I believe those things can change from season to season, not your core purpose, but how you apply that purpose, right, and so then the gap is okay. Well, where if this is my purpose over here and I'm doing something, over here that, if my purpose is A and what I'm doing today is M, what's the gap between A and M? Right. And then now what is the strategy to begin to close the gap? Because of course I tell everybody, don't quit your job tomorrow. Don't just
Yeah,
jump out and say,
please tell them that. Please tell them that.
I'm gonna go pursue my purpose. Let me just quit tomorrow. No, please don't do that. And you can't tell people I told you to do that either. Because
Right.
I will not tell you that. But the key is, right, is understanding, okay, to identify where am I at? And now what's the strategy? What's the process? What are the frameworks? Right? What are the tools I can use to make that transition? And again, for some, it's going to be maybe to a different career path. You could still want to be employed, but it's a different career path. To others, it could be a business, or maybe it's a nonprofit, right? And so the prescription isn't a specific thing potentially, but it's as we go through this journey together. And again, that's just one exercise, that purpose gap assessment, to really see, okay, where's my gap and how do I begin to close that gap?
So now you focus a lot on the integration of faith and work. What does that look like in practice? Decisions and habits, or even business model. How do people bring that together?
Definitely. So for me, I'm in part of the Christian faith, if you will. I believe God is the one who gives us our purpose, right? And so what I do with my life is not just contained to what church I go to on a Sunday, if you will, right? I believe it's what happens every single day of the week. And as a matter of fact, we spend more time at work, whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur, than we're going to spend anywhere else, including at church. And so it just makes sense, right, that God should be involved, right? Our faith should be involved, even in how we make business and strategic decisions, right? Even related to our career. So yes, I do talk a lot about faith because I believe it should be integrated. I believe we do need some divine assistance, right, to help us navigate this path because life is hard, right? Business is hard. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of challenges, and we need as much help as we can get. And sometimes, we don't ask for that help until we get in a lot of trouble. So my thing is, well, let's ask for help in advance. Let's ask for help along the way.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
I guess the question always is, and we've been at this a long time.
Mhm.
Sometimes people don't know they're in trouble.
Right, agreed. I like to use this kind of simple test, and I call it the Sunday night slog. So if you, let's say, when you get up on Monday morning, your only goal is to get to Friday and get to the weekend, and then you're enjoying Saturday and you're enjoying most of Sunday, and around 6 or 7 p.m. you start to get this dread that I have to go to work. To me, that's a telltale sign that you're in trouble, right? And that you're in a low place where you don't get to do what you want to do or get to do what you desire. You have to go somewhere. You're required to be somewhere. You're forced to be somewhere. And if you're living your life like that, and that's 80% of the time, again, we don't get any more time, right? And we don't know how much time we have. And if I'm spending all my time dreading Monday through Friday, that's a terrible way to live. And I'm almost wasting my life if I'm not engaging the week and in doing the things that give me inspiration, give me hope, give me a desire to even do more of it, right? That to me, that's a good sign. And I think it's one test of that you may be in trouble.
So let's talk about the outcomes of this program and maybe the application. People are going to go, man, I'm busy. I'm kind of on the fence. Why should I even carve out time for this? What kind of results will I see or breakthroughs and things like that? Why should I take time to you know to to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple things, right? And it's very specific. We're going to help you identify your unique calling and monetize it, right? You're going to develop strategies to transition from unfulfilling work, right? You're going to we're going to help you think through building sustainable, purpose-driven income streams, right? And help you overcome limiting beliefs about money and purpose, right? So those are some very key things as we walk through this process that is going to help you get really clear and real direction from that standpoint. But here's just a couple other things, right? We have a 90-day implementation workbook because the master class is 3 consecutive weeks, so it's a basic total of 6 hours, right, during those 3 weeks. But we know 6 hours, that's a decent amount of time, but that's not enough time really to change your life, if you will, right? So the 90-day implementation workbook is your roadmap, right? We'll start it on it in those 6 weeks. I'm sorry, in those 3 weeks, in those 6 hours. But the goal is that you continue to work on that, but you'll also actually be in an online community, right, with everyone who's in the course. And so we can also learn from each other, right, as well as from me as a facility, but also from each other. So not only are you going to be in the live masterclass, but again, you'll get those additional tools that'll be extended beyond just those 6 hours. And then you'll also get lifetime access to all of the content that's recorded during the live session.
How important is the community piece? Peer support and accountability. Are they going to be working with each other or just working with you? So is it going to be a community? Is a cohort like a community of people working together?
Yes, it is a cohort and a community of people in a private online group, not on Facebook, not a Facebook group, but another type, very similar type of community. Actually, the same platform that you will enter into for your course. So it's good. You'll be on the same platform to access the course and to be in that community. And I think that is critical, right? Because we all need advisors. We all need coaches. We all need people who can speak into our lives. And even for myself, right, when I was in that really low place, I needed people to speak into me who still believed in it. Even the stuff when I lost faith in myself, people who still believed and then helped me get back on the path that I needed to be on. Again, our communities are critical and important. And again, it's amazing how when you get in these sessions, other people who may have a similar experience can sharpen one another during that process.
And it's so interesting. We're finding out that people really want to build a community. They just want to build a safe community.
Right, right,
And
right.
I think this is so important. So let's talk about some of the tools and takeaways that people will get from this. Kind of give us something that people can use right now. What's one tool you actually already gave it to us that I like that what you do it on the weekends.
Right,
Because it's funny because when I look at my life, Saturdays, after my situation, I don't do anything. But on Sundays, I plan for the week. I kind of look forward to getting into the week. I mean,
right, right.
it's really interesting
Absolutely.
because I enjoy what I do. So I really thought about that question, but something they can use right now, some kind of diagnostic question they can ask themselves and see if they're in line with the purpose of your program.
Absolutely. So I'll give you one here. If you could do anything and money was no object, what would you do? Right? If there was no cost to it, like what is in your heart to do? And if take the price tag away, because a lot of people will limit what they want to do to how much it costs. Take that away. What would you do again if money were no object? And
Okay.
I'll give you a follow-up one. And people have used this before. What would you do for free? right? And when I say that, it's really what would drives you as a passion that again you just enjoy doing it. Not that you have to do it for free, but if you could do it all the time, that's exactly what you would do. Now, let's cross a couple things off the list. If you just say vacation, I'm not talking about that, right? If you just say laying by the pool, right? Drinking Mai Tais, no, that's not, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that you would invest your life into,
Got you.
right? From that standpoint.
Okay, so I don't know if this is a fair question. I'm going to ask it. 90-day roadmap for somebody wanting to test a purpose-driven pivot without actually quitting their job. You had mentioned that earlier.
Yeah,
Don't quit your job. How can
right.
they test to see? Is that what this workshop is about?
Absolutely.
You know,
So yeah, and definitely. So if you are interested in a pivot, and right again, that could be a career pivot or a going into business pivot, right? This 90-day implementation workbook allows you to develop the plan and then to your point, have some ways to kind of test, is this, viable? Now, so let's talk about business for a second, right? And so let's say I'm looking at starting this business. Part of that implementation plan is going to be to do some market research, right?
mhm.
To say because just because you have it in your mind to do doesn't mean that it's the timing is right for you to transition, right? And so it could be the right plan, but at the wrong time, if that makes sense, right? And then even on the career side, as you're going through this process, you may find out that you love painting rocks, right? So if painting rocks is your thing, well, that may take a little bit longer, right, to find a job or an opportunity that allows you to paint rocks. Or we may come to the conclusion, say, you know what, that sounded good at the beginning of this process, but it just doesn't make sense, right? So we need to find something else. So the goal is, and again, for some people because again, you may already have started to transition. And so this may be the thing that helps push you to that very last step that you need to take. Right? So that person may have already done some legwork, but now they kind of just need some help closing the deal, if you will. Others may be at the very beginning of their journey. And again, I would say it's definitely within that 6 hours of the masterclass unrealistic, right? Other than maybe you getting the epiphany, right? You getting the ideas. And really that 90 days is really now for you to really move that process along. And here's the other thing with that 90 days is my coaching is what's also available during that time. So that's what's key of me helping you write that implementation workbook. But then also, again, helping move that process along.
I want to, I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go and we're going to share the website for your program, and you're going to have to guide me where you want me to go and stuff. But what stands out about these things right here, or well,
Yes, right. Yeah.
first thing that needs to stand out. This thing starts October 9th. It's coming
Yes.
up next week. All
Right.
right, and it's the Thursday at 7 p.m. and it's all virtual.
Yes, all virtual. It'll be on Zoom. So basically,
Okay.
so you'll receive a Zoom link after the registration.
So I like this here for you if you are frustrated professional. So many people. What's really interesting about this, I've met so many people that have been in the marketplace for a long time that are calling me because they're frustrated. They want to get out, but they don't know exactly where to go. All right. So that's this frustrated professional feeling stuck. And the thing is, at one point in their life, they had the same values, but now their values have changed. Okay.
Absolutely.
So talk about these three others that need to be in here. I know about the frustrated professional because I think we all are one. But
Yeah.
go to the other three. Let's talk about the other three.
Sure. So the purpose seeker, again, this could be someone who's actually doing very well in their career or in their business, and maybe making a good amount of money, but this is the person that definitely has that lack of fulfillment and that lack of meaning, and they want their work life to have more of an impact. And again, that doesn't mean you have to leave your job, right? So let me just say that. But again, it could be I need to have a different perspective, or maybe I do need to transition to something else, right? That gives me more meaning and impact from
Mhm.
that standpoint. So yes, so that's the person again who's looking for who kind of has the profit piece already locked in. Now they're looking to tie the purpose into it. The career transitioner could be someone similar to the frustrated professional, or let's say you've just gotten to a point in your career where you I've accomplished a lot, and now I'm ready to go do something different. Or to your point, Mark, my values have changed. What I wanted to do in the past, now I want to do something different. And how do I make that transition? Or I want to transition, from a career standpoint, I mean, corporate, let's say, to an entrepreneur. And sometimes that's a forced transition, right? Where I didn't choose this path; it was chosen for me because, let's say, I got laid off or downsized, and so now I may even be having trouble getting back into corporate, or I'm tired of corporate, been doing it for a long time, and now I want to launch this business, which then actually even leads us to the aspiring entrepreneur. So again, that could be someone, again, younger or older, mid-career, late career, early career, who wants more of a social impact entrepreneur. Again, if you're just looking to build a business and your only focus is making money, this program is probably not, this program, I said, not for you, right? But this is for the person who says, I want my work to matter in a way that's going to impact others in a significant way.
So, I'm kind of giving them a glance of what this, I think this is big. I saw this one, monetizing your mission. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be there for week 2.
Right, right. Absolutely.
Okay. I just really looked at the topic that you had. Talk about the bonus materials.
Absolutely. So when we think about, again, the live training course, right, in addition to that, you're going to get a copy of my book, Purposenomics, The Quest for Meaning and Profitable Work, so that you'll get that full book as a digital version. I talked about the purpose assessment tool, right, that looks at the gap of where you are, the 90-day implementation workbook, of course, the private community access. And again, that's that online platform where your course content will be, but also all the materials, and again, the discussion forums that will be in there. And then, of course, a lifetime replay. So once you sign up, you actually have lifetime access to the platform. And that way, again, it could be 6 months from now or even 6 years from now, and you want to go back. The other thing about that platform, too, is there's other courses that I have. I won't get into that today. But again, once you get into this course, you'll get exposed to other courses that you may want to take. Again, that allows you to continue to grow personally and professionally.
Outstanding. Now I'm going to stop sharing that screen. This has been a powerful, powerful session. But before we wrap up, let's get into details. How can people get into the Purposenomics Masterclass? What's the time commitment? Where should they go to sign up?
Absolutely. Great question. You can go to masterclass.purposenomics.work, as well as if you just go to paulwilsonglobal.com, which is my main website, you can actually find the masterclass through that platform. The time commitment it is coming up very quickly. It starts October the 9th, but it'll be on 3 consecutive Thursdays, the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd. It'll be from 7 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Eastern. And again, it's all online. But the benefit is, again, even if you can't make the live session, because these sessions are recorded, again, you will absolutely have access to those sessions. So again, space is limited. So, because again, I want to make sure that this is an intimate environment, an intimate setting. So you want to go ahead and register as quickly as possible.
Outstanding. All right, Paul, thanks for joining us. To my listeners, if you've been searching for a way to connect to your calling or your career or your purpose, the Purposenomics Masterclass just might be your next step. So as Paul said, visit purposenomics.work to learn more. Until the next time, let's keep sharpening your edge. Let's get started on building your future together.